right, I think we are live. Welcome, everybody. We are talking shop floor layout and workflow maximization, if that's a word. Welcome to our webinar for September. Nick was just asking me how many webinars I've done, and I figured at least 250 with ProShop alone,
Wow.
and then 12 podcasts a month or something as well. So a lot of on-screen time, probably too much, but it's what I love to do, so we're going to go with it. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. People are streaming in here. I always like to start with tell us where you are joining from. Oh, John, you are right on the spot. He already put it in right before he even said it. So, John, it was good to see you this week in Chicago. Here we go, Richland and Santa Ana and Lafayette and Austin, Texas, and Milwaukee, Oregon. And thank you, everybody. Vancouver, BC. Bristol, Connecticut. All right, Metro Boston. There's Jason from Duggar, Indiana. Very
Everywhere.
good.
Nice.
All right, well, let's dig into this. We got a lot to cover today.
Yeah.
And I want to start by, yeah, so this is our rough agenda. We'll get into introductions here in a second. We're going to be talking about basically the growth story of Above All CNC and how they have laid out their shop for high throughput and making sure the way that their floor is laid out from the macro level of machines to the micro level of their workstations and their toolboxes and are all very dialed in and focused on throughput and efficiency. So Tim, Nick, thank you very much for being here with us today. Let's start with you guys introducing yourself. You want to go first, Tim?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Tim Rousseau. I own Above All CNC. We were founded in 2016 and started off right out of high school as a machinist, sweeping floors. So been doing it for about 21 years, 22 years, something like that. So yeah, go for it, Nick.
Hi, my name is Nick Foster. I work at Above All CNC as the quality manager. I started out as a machinist at 18, found machining through high school drafting class, and just progressed ever since. Kind of hard for me to stay out of quality. I really like the numbers and the tolerances and stuff like that. So naturally, I just moved into quality and haven't left.
Awesome. Well, I love your stories of both starting at such a young age. You beat me a little bit. I started my shop when I was, I think, 24. But yeah, fell in love with machining through a college program where we built race cars and had to machine everything we wanted to make. So
Nice.
good to have
Awesome.
you guys here.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, well, Tim, maybe let's start with you and give sort
Sure.
of the background of Above All and where you started in your little
Mhm.
640 square foot shop and then kind
Yeah.
of your expansion over the years.
Yeah. So, yeah, gosh, right after I got married to my wife in 2016, we were on a honeymoon. We landed in Ireland. We went there for St. Patrick's Day, and I get a text from a friend, and he's like, "Hey, there's this shop for sale," which really ended up just being about it's like some stuff, a cabinet with some tools and an old 2005 VF2, a vertical bandsaw, but everything I really needed to function.
Mhm.
So grasped that opportunity. We didn't have kids, and yeah, so just took that opportunity and ran with it. Wound up in a really small space, like you said, about 640 square feet, and it was just me for about a year and a half with the VF2 and a Bridgeport. Just getting the name out there and establishing a customer base. Um, it became very apparent that having a single machine was like an issue and it's going to be impossible to scale. So as soon as I had the opportunity, the building was condoed out and it had alternating 640 and 800 square foot units.
Mhm.
So two of them became available. So I actually moved my shop from like unit H to unit A or whatever. So that was like the second time in a year and a half that I moved my shop, and then immediately bought a larger VF3 YT was my second machine.
Mhm.
And then after about 3 or 4 months of that, we had a baby on the way, and realized that I was starting to scale, and I just didn't have the bandwidth to set up and run both of these machines, check parts, quote work, run the business. So immediately called some of the folks that I used to work with, and they were on board with coming to work for me. And it really just took off from there. I mean, a third machine showed up shortly thereafter, and a fourth machine, and another leased space, another wall knocked down. Um, and uh, and then so right around, let's see, it was about 2019. We started looking for a larger building, which is the one that we're in now. Um, while that was happening, COVID happened as well, like mid construction,
Oh yeah.
and um, and so everything was severely delayed. Just trying to get, materials to build a wall, or even wire was kind of difficult
Yeah.
and became very expensive. Um, but our growth path as a company was just skyrocketing, because we were continuing to work, and making sure the shop was still running effectively. So we were able to negotiate a pretty fair lease rate. We were able to build out the facility, because several years prior it had burned down. It was a condoed out, like, giant warehouse with a bunch of different companies and things in there. And so they were building it back up on some of their insurance money. Uh, so I was able to really, they were like, well, what do you want? And I'm like, so I just drew it. And then they had an architect, who, knows how far like a stair landing needs to be and all of that stuff that is just not my purview. So he refined everything, and we settled on a layout that we felt would work for us. And then moved in July of 2020 is when we staged everything over at the
Okay.
old location. And let's see,
Just
we
a few
moved.
months after COVID, or I mean,
Yeah,
after
yeah,
COVID hit, still in the
we're
midst of it.
we're in the middle of it. Yeah, and then to add gas to the fire, I had also bought my first home, and we moved into our first home the weekend after that. But that's
Okay.
another that's another
You're a
story.
glutton for punishment.
Yeah, I had like some sort of weird energy, but yeah, so we staged everything very well. I think we executed the move exceptionally well for only there at the time there was only five of us.
Hmm.
And so we pulled up stakes on a Thursday. Everything moved. We had Nick had, and we'll get into this with the layout and everything. We had, pre-run airlines, electrical, everything per our shop layout.
Hmm.
Told the guys exactly where to place the machines, everything lined up. And we had kind of a long-running titanium project that was going to go on the space station, on our DNM 4500. So it was like imperative that one get up and running first. So we had the tech scheduled Monday. He came, leveled, trued up the machine, and we were literally cutting chips Monday afternoon after moving the entire
Amazing.
shop on that first machine. And then it was like, okay, that's going to run for 12 hours. Let's go work on all the rest and get them back up and running. So yeah, it worked out. It worked out really well for us. It was a good move. So now we need more space, but hey.
That is always the story. As
Yeah,
soon as you're done expanding into a much bigger one, you almost immediately need more.
yeah, yeah,
Well, it's similar when we moved our shop. Well, we started our shop in a little 2,000 square foot warehouse, and then the bay next to us came open, so we got another like 3,500, and then we moved entirely cities like 2 hours away into
yeah,
10,000. But it was similar. It had sort of units next to it down. We were on one end of the building, and there was we had 10,000 total. That was also pretty rough timing with 2000 with 9/11, and we moved right before it, and then our aerospace work dried up, and we had this huge lease that we couldn't afford. So anyway, long
yeah,
story, but then as things picked back up and we survived that, we just took more space down the building until we eventually had all of it.
yeah.
But
What'd
yeah,
you guys max out on square footage?
about 35,000,
Oh wow, that's
something
okay.
like that. And
That's
we had
significant.
75 people and 30 plus machines. So,
Nice, nice.
um,
Yeah, that's
and
great.
yeah, but uh, but it's always that sort of uh, chicken and egg, how much space do you take or do you need? And do you take too much and then have that extra, rent that you have to, or you buy something and then lease it out to somebody until you need it yourself and take it back over. There's
Yeah.
never a simple answer for that.
Yeah, and nothing ever comes at the greatest timing or anything. Like even speaking on that, we had originally at least only it was like 6,300 square feet, and then you start penciling out the electrical requirements. Like I need another panel, so we grabbed another 1,200 square feet before things were too far
Yeah.
along. Yeah,
Cool. All right. Well, let's get into this slide here. I love this mock-up.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Go for it, Nick.
I'll speak on this. This isn't actually our shop. This is just like a plot idea.
Hmm.
So like whenever you start the beginning of setting up a facility, you have to plot things out. Where do you want your tool crib? Where do you want your inspection room? Where are the doors that can't move, kind of thing. And so you just simplify it by putting the different departments in different places, and then
Hmm.
draw out your machines to scale, and then toolboxes, workbenches, all those things as well. And then you could just move them around and see how you like it, do different versions and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And it looks like you use cardboard cutouts in your initial kind of early mock-ups and probably graph paper and
Yeah,
then
when
and
we
later went to SketchUp.
right when we first moved to our facility we're in right now, we didn't find SketchUp, so
Hmm.
we just measured the machines and cut out cardboard, and we had this big old beautiful empty shop floor with new nice floors that we were just able to push around the cardboard and see how we liked it, kind of thing.
Oh, you did
And
full
then
scale cardboard, 1-to-1
correct.
scale. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I
We went
was
from,
imagining. I
well,
was
first
imagining.
at first we did
right.
graph paper on the before we had access to the building. We used
Yeah.
graph paper
Right.
and did it that way, and then went to the
Literally,
full scale.
literally like cut these things out with scissors and would just shuffle them around. It was like the most effective. But I will warn everybody when you cut out these cardboard cutouts, they never look as big as the machines actually as they
Hmm.
actually are when they show up. So, um, yeah,
Well, it's funny you say that because when we were moving, actually, it wasn't when we moved, it was when we completely redid our layout after going through a lean kind of process. Um, and we actually, rather than doing cutouts, we actually just assembled huge cardboard boxes and kind of taped them together in so they were about as tall and about as wide as the machines. And then we
yeah,
just literally like created aisleways between them and like, all right, how close do we feel comfortable putting these machines, right?
yeah. It
And
makes a big difference when you just have like two lines taped on the ground versus like an actual like corridor.
yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
a big difference. So.
So did you just find huge cardboard or do you just take flattened boxes and just kind of piece them together with tape and cutting them out? Or how did you get huge cardboard?
Yeah, just took different types of boxes and taped them
Okay.
together and then cut them out, kind of thing. So
Yeah,
Got it.
no, an abundance of cardboard. It's like I feel
Yes.
like it's a
Yeah.
full-time job breaking boxes down around here. You know?
Well, seeing your model here reminds me, one of our customers up on Vancouver Island, as they were, laying out their shop or buying new machines, they actually 3D printed like scale models of every machine and actually had a physical, couple foot wide sort of layout where they actually moved kind of like
I've
Monopoly
seen that.
pieces, kind of like Monopoly pieces.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. So lots of creative ways to visualize where you want to put machines.
Yeah, I really wanted to do that. That I saw that as well, and I was like, man, that would be so cool to make like a model, like you were an architect kind of thing. But it just seemed very time consuming. So I stuck with the computer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Let's see here. And it says you got some input from our team. Can you share a little bit about that?
Um,
Is that note inaccurate? maybe we transcribe something differently from our places.
I would
Maybe.
say that's maybe more related to like 5S and toolboxes and
Sure.
stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, all the content you guys push, but then also, through the implementation process, I think with your system, like, was very educational for us. Even starting off with the fly and start package and like looking at
Hmm.
some of the kind of the boilerplate task things, and it's just like,
Sure.
oh, I know, there's a couple of things in there like I didn't even think of. This is great. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So I think in a roundabout way, for
Yeah,
sure,
and we
shop
even
layout.
yeah, because we even I'm pretty sure had included because we used ProShop and the equipment module for managing 5S in our shop, and we had templates for different types of equipment, and
Mhm.
then even pictures of areas like with mobile carts that we would, stage things and then move them into a workstation. Maybe it was a granite plate on a on wheels, or maybe it was a tiny bandsaw, or maybe it was a small tumbler.
Mhm.
And so you may have seen pictures of our shop already preloaded with
Yeah,
Yep.
sort of the 5S equipment records about checking, each week if it's clean and tidy and checking it off, and
yeah,
kind of forcing that sustainability kind of part of the
We
5S.
we
yeah.
definitely use the maintenance module a lot for keeping up on those things,
Hmm.
for definitely to
Yeah.
sustain and do our maintenance and keeping the
Yep.
shop clean.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
Very good. And I think, let's see, we have, just jump to the next. And I apologize, everybody. I'm dealing with one screen today because I'm not in my actual office, even though it looks like I am, sort of. Avoiding landlocking. This is an important topic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Who
yeah. The
wants to
shop,
take this one?
well,
It
yeah.
got
I mean,
pretty
that's kind
tight.
of yeah. It's gotten tighter. Yeah, I mean, when we moved in here, we only had four CNCs, so it was uh we were talking about getting basketball hoops and all these things, and just like
Yeah.
in all this space. But then immediately after that, we got like a fully automatic bandsaw, twin spindle lathe, and a 5-axis mill. And maybe 6 months after that, we got a horizontal and another lathe. And so it filled up pretty quick. But
Hmm.
we made sure, I mean, if I'm, looking at the machines we had at the time, the first ones to move in, naturally went against the back wall. And
Yep. That's pretty
yeah, so
common.
we just made sure that, the ones that were most likely, when we go through the like asset refinement phase and upgrading equipment, um, just making sure that they have a path out, and
Hmm.
it's a minimal path. Like I don't expect, a rigger to come in with his big forklift and make it super convenient for him so he could just drive out of the building at 35
Right.
miles an hour with a machine
Yes.
on it, but they're gonna have to put it on pump jacks and skates and things and be cautious, but they will get out. So
Hmm.
that was a big part, I think, of when Nick was doing the more the digital renderings in SketchUp. Like he could actually drive these things out and sort of check to see if it will fit or not.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, that was pretty important for us because yeah, I mean the shop that I used to manage, at one point we had to hire a crane and cut a hole in the ceiling, and they had to crane an old lathe out.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, it was
That's
and
expensive.
I'd like to say the ceiling got repaired, or the roof got repaired as a roofer would repair it, but yeah, it didn't. It was horrible planning. So yeah,
Wow.
and that's definitely not an option here with all of the mechanical stuff, AC and
Hmm.
electrical, air, all that stuff on the ceiling. So yeah.
Well, I can remember having to, as we got new machines and had to replace old ones, I remember having to move other machines out of the way because we clearly didn't think far enough in advance like you
It,
guys did. So that's
it
yeah, that's a huge takeaway.
Yeah, it's a bummer, because like not only is it taking a bunch of horsepower and revenue to exchange this machine and downtime and what have you, but to knock a couple others out of the mix, like you might have to pause them or something if you got something big and heavy going by.
Hmm.
But at least you don't have to, take them completely offline and
Yeah,
re-level
recalibrate.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
calibrate everything.
Recalibrate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. So yeah.
Very good. Any other thoughts before we move along?
Um, Not
I
so
see you
much.
have your paint lines, your sort of safety lines in here. Was that paint or was that like heavy duty tape or what are you using for making those?
It's floor tape. Yeah,
Just floor
so
tape.
yellow
Okay. Yep.
yellow means walkways, and
Mm-hmm.
that's a 4 foot walkway. So we can get our forklift basically anywhere in our small facility that we need to, whether that's like exchanging coolant tanks next to the water source
Mm-hmm.
or taken out at a conveyor. We made sure that we position the machines so that the tanks and
Mm,
conveyors can slide out and that you can get to a forklift to lift the conveyor out of the tank and
Yeah,
stuff
that's
like that.
another, I think
that's
that's a really
huge. Yeah.
important part too, is really understanding the machine layouts and if you're not just copying and pasting the same piece of equipment, talking with the techs and understanding like how far out does this need to move before it can go this way and come out if you got to service it or re-level it, or we've even gotten bad conveyors before that
Mm,
have had to be replaced as well. So, just because
mm,
it fits the first time doesn't mean it won't necessarily have to come out at some point. So,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Because sometimes, depending on the machine, those coolant tanks are very long and the chip conveyors, and you really need a lot of room to make sure you can pull those out.
yeah, yeah.
And
And for annual maintenance too, if you're going to pull everything out
sure.
and pump it, clean it and everything. So, Um, yeah, there's a lot, I'm glad that the guy that did the epoxy floors in the shop, on the note of the lines, and he was really trying to sell me on doing the lines in epoxy. And
Oh,
I'm
sure.
and I'm glad they did. I was like, man, there's no permanence to this,
Yeah.
it's a constantly evolving thing, depending on customer requirements and things. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
tape seemed most effective for us, but gets the point across.
All right. Probably the most burning question that everyone wants to know, is this a real tree or is that a fake tree?
That one's a fake one, but the on the other side of the fifth axis with the yellow black lines,
Uh-huh.
there is an actual real tree on that side.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a fiddle fig. It's the biggest one I've ever seen, and it's up past that mist collector unit. And because all that mist collector unit is pushing out is just humidified air, and
Okay.
it's just like give me
It
more
loves
of
it.
that. And so
Warm, humidified air.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's fantastic.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we had a few live plants in our shop. I think it adds to the ambiance for sure. We had tons in our office.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's, important to know that, hey, like this plant can thrive in a machine
Hmm.
shop environment. It's not as bad as some would say, or some
Yeah, it's
would
an
think,
indication that your air is actually clean and it's
Yeah,
not yeah, that's good.
yeah,
It's like the canary in the coal mine.
yeah.
All right, we already talked a little bit about the 4 foot pathways, but and then you also designed in little narrow ones for people, pallet jacks and things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this picture right here is this is right before we received our 12 pallet 5 axis. There's the new conveyor kind of sitting next to that roll up door that had showed up before, and you could see like the
Oh, yep. Yeah, right back there.
preliminary tape lines, and then the layout of the machine roughly that Nick had done
Hmm.
per his SketchUp model. And I'll let you chime in on how far off it actually was in virtual to reality, Nick, if you want to
It
mention
was
that.
1 inch. The
That's amazing.
corner of this yellow angled walkway, the corner of the machine was 1 inch off. So
That's incredible.
Yeah,
That's precision right there.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, super calculated. So it worked out really well. It's a great place for the machine too. So um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
And then, yeah, let's talk about material flow. You're receiving, I think you have two roll-up bays. Is that right?
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't think we provided you any pictures of the where all the ancillary equipment lives. Like,
Okay.
yeah, we have yeah, several manual lathes, manual mill, all the bench work, bead blasting, fully automatic bandsaw, compressors, tumblers, all that stuff is kind
Hmm.
of in our back bay. It's about 1,200 square feet. So when the material comes in, that's where the forklift is parked as well. So it all gets unloaded, incoming inspection done, received. and cut, debird, whatever has to happen over on that end of the shop. So
Hmm.
in the actual, working, well, they're both working areas of the shop, but in the, I guess the precision area of the shop, um, general rule of thumb is only material that has an active work order that's being worked on is in the shop,
Okay. Yep.
just to kind of prevent confusion and keep it clean. Naturally, sometimes we'll get pallets and pallets of like large aluminum plate or something, and we need another place to store it. So
Hmm.
it'll get onto this side of the shop at times, but ideally it stays over on the other side until it's ready to go in the machine. So
I like that idea.
yeah.
Cool. Anything else to talk about before we jump in? I think we're going to see a video next. So yeah, why don't we go ahead and maximize that? Why don't you talk us through this, Nick?
Awesome. So this is the SketchUp model of our shop, sort of in current state. Um, this first corner that it's about to go into, there's a man door, and that's where everything gets received.
Hmm.
And so there's the bench and a rack and receiving, and then it moves into tool cabinets and stuff for tool crib. So
Yep.
you receive stuff, you gather your tools, and then you start getting into this walkway, and then you grab your tool holders, tool setter, and then there's three carts there next to that machine where everything gets
Hmm.
staged for production. So you should have a toolkit all ready to go for you before you it gets to the machine. And then
Yep.
over here is our quality department right off the side of production with a couple CMMs and some vision and stuff like that. And then um, that's the production floor with a central granite table so that everybody can use it. And then here's the ancillary back shop, which we call
Oh, sure.
the dirty shop, but it's I would say it's epoxied and fairly clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I see the little VF2 on this thing. So I think,
Yeah, pre-ops will be currently that's a production machine, but it'll hopefully eventually turn into our material support tooling and material support where it'll
yep.
do tooling and prep ops and stuff like that so that everything is totally ready before it hits the more expensive CNC machines. So we're not doing
Got it.
pre-ops on 5-axis machines.
Right. So little dovetails or whatever you might need to
Yeah.
prep that material. Would you also do like a final op if you're just like cutting off a tab or something like that there too? Or how are you planning to do that?
Um, Not sure yet.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
do have like a couple, like we have VF3 and a D&M 3-axis machines that generally a lot of our second ops are done on those.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. These ones right here in the back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Do
ebbs and flows sometimes how we'll organize jobs. A lot of the times, for simplicity's sake, it's nice for them just to go, soup to nuts on one machine. But sometimes we'll do preps. Like on the VF2, we'll do a lot of prep work and then secondary operations too. So it depends on the projects and like the duration of the cycle times. But
hmm
yeah, that poor VF2, that thing just it won't die. It just keeps cashing checks. That machine is the most reliable machine we have, and it's probably worth $10,000.
Yeah. Yeah. The
But
opportunity cost is
yeah,
worth way
golly.
more than selling it. And then so you from the pictures before, right in this middle area, you have a bay door, and then right back over here, you have another one. And so this is where bar stock would be
Yeah,
kind of loaded
yeah,
Yep.
in.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we specifically like with the where that person is standing there next to that bead
Hmm.
blast cabinet, we intentionally place that machine with there's like a big table extender on it with forklift stuff. So we order a lot. That machine specifically supports kind of one job, but also supports the rest of the shop. But
Hmm.
the intent was for these bear-proof food canisters that we make. So we
Oh yeah,
buy
from the
like
article. Yeah.
yeah, so we buy like 24 or so of these 9.5 inch diameter bars of 6061 aluminum every year and cut them on that saw, and it more than pays for itself in doing that. But we wanted, when you get these big bundles of bars, you want to be able to drive them in and just drop them right on the saw and have it start
Hmm.
processing. So that was all like very specifically laid out so we could just kind of, get the material in there without having to hook it in through the door, so we made sure the door was wide enough when we were building the building to
Hmm.
manage that contract and just swing it right in, drop it, push it into the saw, and off you go. So
Love
definitely
it.
streamlines that quite a bit. And yeah, so anyway, just kind of explaining that area.
Sure.
Um, and then down to the right, shipping and receiving, all the carts, the toolkitting and everything. I
Yep.
mean, yeah, conceptually, really, that's like one of those examples that was really driven by the best practices in Pro Shop, like the different things that we've learned from you guys on your various webinars and how to maximize the efficiency on the machines.
Hmm.
So we just kind of created those lanes in order to be able to pre-stage these jobs and made those investments in, for the longest time, like if I bought a machine that had a 40 tool changer or something like that, I would buy maybe 50 tool holders for the machine.
Hmm.
But we've had to kind of break out of that and double up on a lot of them, so that we do have the ability to kit, not only run the job that's in the machine, but have like a job stage after it. And if we're busy enough, hopefully a third job even backed up
Hmm.
behind that as well, with the carts all ready to go. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And do you use sort of a set of common tools that occupy some carousel spots, and then you change out the custom ones?
Yeah, so yeah, general rule of thumb is tools don't come out of the machine until we need that pocket,
Got it.
or maybe it's a custom form tool that you wouldn't want to leave in there.
Right.
But otherwise, everything else is managed through the tooling module in Pro Shop. We used to have notepads on the side of the machines, and you'd write down all the tools that are in the different pockets and erase them or forget to erase them or whatever. Um, so
Mhm.
now it's all managed in the tooling module in Pro Shop. Every machine has the like a dual monitor kiosk with a little micro PC, and
Yeah, I see
shadow
these
boarding
modeled
and all
in.
that.
Hmm.
And so yeah, so it's all managed pretty live, and that really alleviates a lot of the kitting burden, I think. You might have a job that needs 40 tools and 30 of them are already in the machine.
Right.
So it's not as I think it's a money maker, absolutely, the way that I prefer to prefer to run stuff, versus just emptying the carousel after every job and reloading it is
Mhm.
simple in a way, but I think just costs money, and you're doing things two, three times that could have just lived in there to begin with. So
Yeah. 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 Very good. Well, I love hearing the fact that both just the way we design the system and the webinars and things we've provided over the years have provided some inspiration for you to, set up your shop this way and get that
oh,
additional efficiency.
yeah, I
It's
feel like it's just a total honey hole of knowledge. Starting in this industry in the early 2000s, there wasn't really a whole lot out there. It was all kind of
mhm,
behind like this curtain of secrecy. And nobody
right.
wanted to talk about how they do stuff. And yeah, so it's been pretty great, I think.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know that you make lots of parts that go into space and have lots of regulations. So traceability is of utmost importance. And when we were prepping for this, you said that when you bring in your bar, your big bar stock or cut plate or whatever, those certs immediately come right over to get scanned in your receiving area and attached to the POs and make sure that traceability is linked.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, receiving inspection, getting the
Hmm.
docs uploaded for QC to review, asking the receiving inspectors to at least review a few of the things like maybe heat lot number, pull a tape measure out, make sure we got what we ordered.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then QC does the deep dive on the chemical and mechanical properties, make sure it's in spec. So yeah.
Just maybe a quick question, because it came up at the event we did a couple days ago. When you do receiving inspection, let's say you're bringing something in from an outside process, how like do you design in the actual dimensional checks where it makes sense to verify that your vendor did the right thing? Yeah, just how do you handle that?
Yeah, I think Nick could speak to that. The short answer is yes, absolutely. But
Yeah, I've found as we grow, the less information, the more work it's going to require later.
Hmm.
So yeah, we do size of material definitely needs to be accounted for. And then uh, like we upload specs and use written descriptions in incoming inspection
Hmm.
to specify exactly what they need to perform,
Hmm.
which we've created like a standard incoming inspection. So it's generally the same process every time if it's parts for plating or if it's material kind of thing.
Nice.
Um, and then measuring thicknesses of plating and things like that, you can also put as a, a check in incoming inspection, and that has saved us a lot of times.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting too. We have so like in my career, usually prints or dimensions apply after plating, right?
Hmm. Yep.
So the
Sure.
machinist is out on the floor having to compensate for everything
Yep.
and really hope that the plater does their job. And we still have prints like that too, but I'd say about 30 to 40% of our customers, their technical drawings is dimensions apply before plating. And so they're just
Hmm.
hoping that that the plater does their job as much as we are. But it
Right.
really that's alleviated the like shop floor math burden for the operators. So those jobs are a lot more fun to run because they don't have to compensate for anything really.
Right.
They just make it per print. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Someone at our event shared that they had kind of skipped over a receiving inspection for some parts that went out for grinding,
Mhm.
or at least, I think he said the inspector went to the QA manager and he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure it's fine." And it was not fine. The parts were too small or too big exactly. But then they sent it out to another outside process that had like, I think it was like $80 a piece in outside processing, and they had a couple hundred, so it was like 20 grand worth of work
Yeah.
that they had to throw away because they didn't do a sufficient enough incoming inspection to catch that problem,
Yeah.
and probably could have fixed it much easier than if
Yeah.
they had not.
And it's tough. It's tough. It's like you have to strike a balance, right? Because like you task people with this and they don't really see the value. They just feel like it's useless or redundant or whatever.
Yeah,
But when like the rubber meets the road in a situation like that, like you want that data, like you want to be able to confidently tell that customer or whatever, like, oh man,
hmm,
I checked this and I have the data to back it up. You don't want like verbal okay communications, right? Because you just have nothing to fall back on and you're left holding the bag on the job. Um,
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's super important.
Yeah. So this well, we're getting a little more narrowed in here onto workstation layout. And for those that are on the webinar today, I'd love for you to throw in the chat. So describe what we have here. And I think this is one of the coolest things I've seen for workstation organization.
So, and I'll let Nick speak on this too, but like, one of the things I really yielded from, I think one of your guys' webinars, or maybe in talking to you, Paul, at some point was, the goal is to, you want your setup machinist to be at the machine, with everything they have. And like we've all experienced looking for that Allen wrench or the wrench or
Hmm.
whatever, and you spend a half of an hour, like that stuff adds up
Yeah, for sure.
uh, over a lifetime. And I won't dare calculate what it might add up to because it'd be too depressing. But so we finally settled. Well, we did a demo box. Nick just happened to have it was kind of a cheaper U-line or not U-line, Harbor Freight toolbox, and he kind
Okay.
of it was like a flip top one, and uh, he modified the top, put a butcher block on there, dual monitor, like so they're stacked,
Hmm.
little micro PC, and then we started laying out the drawers, kind of based off of that same idea, is that each machine has some nuance with like what socket extensions it needs and everything. And then Went and bought one of those cheaper like Bamboo Lab printers that is really great. And we
Hmm.
started drawing and designing a modular system based off of all the tools that we buy and building little bomb lists with files. Like, hey, if we were to buy another DVF 5000, we could grab that bomb file print, done, like
Nice.
we have the whole shopping list put together. So yeah, we experimented with the foam before,
Hmm.
buying hot knives and hot wires and all these things and getting every shop helper that's come through the shop to sit down like, dude, I just want this to be perfect. Just all you got to do today is just make it be like a shadow of this wrench, and like
Right.
varying degrees of success, but it was never, it was just never right. So this seemed like the best option. I mean, you like these printers are so easy to use nowadays, and you just,
Yeah.
we ended up, I think at one point we had three of them in here, and they were just printing these things full time, like day and night. And we still have a couple of boxes, I think, out there that we need to refine a little bit. But
Hmm.
yeah, you could take your Allen wrenches and you don't like them there. We made these little grid plates for the back, so it's all modular. You could put them over on the right side, left side, whatever.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, you sent this picture too, showing one of the pieces pulled out, and you can see underneath it the grid pattern. I don't know if
yeah.
it's like a 1 inch grid or 3/4 or whatever, but the fact that you can just kind of almost like Legos, right? You can just click it in here, move it over there,
Mhm.
have sort of standard widths and lengths. I think this is super neat, and obviously it's just so clean and tidy
Yeah,
and reconfigurable, right?
yeah, yeah. And you're like, hey man, you should make this a product. Like, if any of the guys watching this want to email me or something, I'm happy to sell you these things, I guess. I have no idea what they'd cost, but
Yes, as yeah, before we went live, I'm like, you guys need to sell this. At
yeah,
very least, the 3D models is like a package,
yeah.
but
Why
if you don't
not?
want to get in the printing business yourself, but I
Yeah,
just love
yeah,
this concept. It is so neat. So yeah, if you like it, just throw it in the chat that this is badass.
yeah, yeah.
Um, awesome. And let's talk about, yeah, this work in progress mindset. I know that you sort of promoted someone into a lead position and really kind of trying to align both the digital and the physical and some of the best practices and discipline of like daily, making sure everything's clean and checked off and everyone's doing what they're
Yeah.
supposed to be doing. Let's dig into that.
Yeah, so like from my perspective, and trying to keep the shop busy enough but not too busy. It's imperative that I'm seeing as live as can possibly be, the progress on the different jobs that's happening. And so we were noticing that it wasn't, updating work orders or moving parts from one station to another wasn't happening super consistently. So we wound up, we're on like the fourth week of this now. We
Okay.
designated a shift lead essentially at the end of the day. Everybody down on the shop floor goes and checks in with the shift lead, tells them which work orders they were working on, and he gives it a quick look, making sure that their in-process check data that they're responsible for at the machine was input,
Mm-hmm.
and enough of it was per the AQL sampling plan that we've defined, that the work order quantities have been updated, and most importantly, that any of the parts that are there in front of that machine that are done, there could be an opportunity for them to move to the next stage in the process, be that deburring or QC, or maybe
Yeah.
even we're sending partial orders to anodize, and it does us no good if they don't move. So uh, so he also, identifies whether or not these things, depending on the job, scope of the job, like, do these need to get pushed over to this station or can they stay in front of this machine? Because he also heads our deburr department. He's like a master of
Mm.
that. And nobody, no, you're not going to make any friends with deburr guys or quality guys when you say, okay, job's done, and you go slap 500 parts on their lap
Of
to deal
course.
with. It's much
Absolutely.
nicer if they're just kind of getting it in flow.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's like the champion mindset, I guess. What he's been doing, and
I
then
love that idea.
down on the shop floor, we put a big 70-inch TV now. They're like like $200. It's insane. But anyway,
No,
so cheap.
blows my
But
mind.
yeah, so we had a whiteboard down there that I'm sure lots do. And Nick and a gentleman here named Austin, who handles a lot of the production, we're managing this whiteboard, and it's a time suck. I mean, especially when you're
Hmm.
having to pivot and maybe do something different that day, you know. And Austin set up a nice dashboard on auto refresh through Pro Shop. We have it up on a big 70-inch screen, just right on the wall of the shop. Everybody can see it. And so it gives us, a place, to point at when we're talking a stand-up morning meeting about what needs to happen. And
Hmm.
also, like, they can just move things inside a pro shop, which they're going to have to do anyway if we're going
Yep.
to reschedule something. And so there's no reason for it to just auto-populate on that screen. So the whiteboard just seemed futile at that point. It was like, this is silly, you know.
Yeah.
We already have all the information. Let's just display it. So um, that I think has been pretty darn helpful for the guys to have visibility beyond just what they're seeing on their machine schedule at the control,
Hmm.
just to
Yep.
have better involvement with kind of how we're going to accomplish our goals. So
Very good. I love it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, just that idea of empowering somebody, it's probably your most OCD person, um, to like check with everyone at the end of the day, make sure
That's
that
he's got so much energy.
the digital hygiene is there, everyone's time tracking is good, their quantities are good, their IPCs are good. And then this
Yeah.
idea, and talk a little bit more about the queuing. So you print off I forget what was on this page, or maybe it's the next page.
Oh yeah, like shop
Oh yeah,
traveler
new
type stuff.
sticker. Yeah, just like a move ticket, like a move sticker. So you make sure you maintain that traceability.
Yeah. Did you want to speak on that, Nick? You maybe a little more tuned
Yeah,
into
it's
that.
in Pro Shop's incoming inspection, there's a place that you can just print out a one pager for that just tells all the information for the job. Um,
Hmm.
and we also have the sticker machine that does those labels as well for boxes
Yep. Yep.
that go
Yeah,
to
the box
plating and
labels.
things like that. But we use those for travelers. So we just print off one page with a cover sheet, and that travels with the job
Hmm.
from the time we get the material into the facility.
Yep.
And then we've additionally just recently got another sticker label machine to do the part stickers, the smaller stickers,
Hmm.
and we use those for batches. So we
Yep.
use with the comma system and the work orders to move partial orders to different operations, and then anytime that there's a tray of parts that is moved, it's you just print out a sticker and it's labeled. So you don't have to pull out a Sharpie and just write down the work
Hmm.
order kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
To maintain the
um,
traceability when we're like, yeah, you're making 500 parts over here, but you want to transfer 25 to Deburr, and so
Yep.
you're throwing those labels on them. Yeah. So works pretty great, I think. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it might be time. Someone had asked, like, what's your typical lot size and cycle time? I'm sure it varies wildly, but if you did have to say an average,
Uh,
yeah.
I'd say average, I mean, one to thousands, but average lot size is between, 10 and 50 pieces, I think. Um,
Okay. Yeah.
Cycle
So,
times vary wildly. I mean,
yeah.
we have some large aluminum pieces in our 5 axis right now on both of the 5 axes, and I think one of them is 15 hours or
Oh,
so.
wow. That's a
Yeah,
long
it's
cycle.
feature rich, and
Yeah.
then
Holy cow.
the other one's about 9, and then we have some titanium parts on our horizontal right now that I think they're like 18 hours. And then
Wow.
we have others that are 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, so
Sure.
it varies. And the fast, I mean, I would say probably for each job, whether it's a 20-hour cycle time or a 2-minute cycle time, I think the same principles still apply, like you got a 20-hour cycle time part, like you want that thing into QC ASAP. uh,
Hmm.
before you're overcommitted on the next one that you've loaded into the machine, maybe. And yeah, so I think they all apply
Hmm.
the principles of moving parts and everything, regardless of lot size.
The
Yeah.
batches, the stickers in the batch, moving batches with commas works really well for night runs too. And so
Hmm.
if you organize it in like the AQL sampling plan, if you follow that and your night run, and then that's a very good way to be able to control your batches.
Hmm. And I imagine with these batches you're moving for those big long cycle time parts, it might be one or two pieces, and for smaller, shorter cycle time, much bigger volumes, you're moving like you said earlier, Tim, like 25 at a time or something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
idea of is getting as close to kind of a flow process where yeah, the deburr department isn't getting 500 parts all at once, but they can just sort of work through at approximately the same pace that parts are being machined. So it's kind of that is just such a brilliant idea.
Yeah, you're
Can
just
you?
kind of level loading and trying to eliminate bottlenecks, I think,
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can you talk about this lowered scrap rate and how that kind of what contributed to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think just general, people understanding, the assignment very clearly, planning these things out ahead of time, not having to like have a knee-jerk reaction to order a tool because, you didn't have enough visibility on what was needed,
Hmm.
right? Like, um, I think a lot of those things have played a factor. It's kind of Nick's purview, so I'm sure he could elaborate on some more that has improved.
Yeah, I would say as we've gotten more organized, our scrap rate has uh, gotten twice as good. But I'd say the biggest thing is the following the trainings and the first article process that was like already set up in ProShop,
Hmm.
and sticking to that, and um, that'll lower your scrap rate the most, I would say.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and before we implemented like the tool crib stuff, um, we're all pretty much, for the most part, we're all machinists here, So if somebody calls up a specific 3/8 end mill and we're like, this one will, it's got the same length of cut, same flutes, this is probably going to work fine.
Right.
But these things can vary wildly, and I'd be lying if I said that those things didn't attribute to a higher scrap rate, by
Right.
people just trying to do what they thought was best, but not necessarily what was like calculated in the
Yeah.
program, you know. So, like a GW Schultz, like serrated, uh, one of those gator mills or whatever is gonna like perform wildly different than like some Destiny Tool three flute end mill,
Hmm.
like yeah, I mean I've experienced it with like empirical data with spindle loads. So
Sure. Yeah. Even with
yeah,
the same measurements, quote unquote,
yeah,
cut length, number of flutes, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
huge
I would
difference. Yeah.
I would assume everybody's experienced the time when they're like, "What's wrong with this part?" And then like you look in the machine and you're like, "That's not the tool that we're trying to cut with. Why do you
Hmm.
got that tool in there?"
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Well,
the tool list in ProShop, like defining the exact tool,
Yeah.
really helped us as well.
yeah.
That's fantastic. And then let's just talk about this last note here, the equipment module for driving activities.
Hmm.
Um, just talk a little bit about that.
Do you want to start on that, Nick?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the equipment module originally we just set up equipment checks for each machine. And then quickly found out that you could track anything. So so you could track personal time as like a checklist. So
Hmm.
and employees have modules where they keep on track and remind themselves of the things that they need to make sure that they get done.
Hmm.
We track our management review for AS9100 on there so that we don't forget to um, we don't miss something while we're reviewing things each month. And then consumables. as well. We're starting to get into using the tooling module and the equipment module for that as well.
Love it. That's
Yeah, I think
fantastic.
yeah, one of the big epiphanies was like, well, we use this to drive all of our like daily, weekly, monthly checks on machines. Like, why not use it for like a daily task list for our shop helper?
Hmm.
You know,
Right.
so it's like, yeah, we just laid it all out like every day, you know, go check the coolant concentrations or whatever, you know, like go over here, like make sure the condensate collector on the air compressor is working properly, like clean these
Hmm.
filters, like so he has like he's got like 4 hours worth of work just in those equipment module task lists to
Hmm.
get his day going. And then when he's all done, it's like, where do you guys need help? You know?
Nice.
Yeah, I think it works really well for that because I mean, it prompts you too, you know, if things are going past due. So it's like
Sure.
pretty great. So
Very good.
There was a time that we didn't use the message system in ProShop,
Okay.
and once we discovered that you can be notified through a message for something and started understanding it a little bit better, it was like, wow, you can be so much more connected to your production without having to be right next to it.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
That's fantastic. Well, let's as we getting close to time here, sort of yeah, talk about sort of the results and takeaways. You mentioned Tim, there's no way you could be actively managing the number of work orders you're doing today in the old way you used to do things.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny, I just kind of stumbled upon a quote. I don't know who said it or what it said exactly, but it was along the lines of the person that works 100 hours a week is the one that is the most easily replaced. And I
Mm,
think what they meant by that is that the systems that you put in place are what would replace that person, right? This person maybe is
sure.
disorganized and just having to like kind of muscle through things. And you know, I've always been of the mind if you're having to do something over and over and over again, it can be automated to a certain degree, most likely,
Hmm.
and that's going to save you just a ton of time. So, um, you know, like on this slide here, like how else would you manage 100 or 200 active work orders, which isn't uncommon for us to have a
Oh,
hundred
sure. Yeah.
active work orders shuffling through the shop. And I think the answer is in this day and age, you don't, you know, I'm sure people have
Hmm.
paper systems and things that work for them, but I don't have the patience for that. So, uh, so here we are, you know, and I
Yeah.
think I truly do believe I think we have the best system, you know, under our belt to manage that at the especially at the scale that we're at. So, yeah,
Well,
If
sure.
you
Oh,
if
go
you
ahead.
uh if you lay out everything specifically how you want it done and you train the people to do it how you want it done, you could essentially hire anybody, even if they don't have machine shop experience, which we've
Hmm.
done. And we found people in the restaurant industry and other
Hmm.
industries that found this industry and they're like, wow, we really enjoy it. So
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we had a story several years ago with a customer that hired some people from KFC, and on a podcast I just did with somebody on Machine Shop Mastery. Oh, I forget which restaurant it was, but yeah, they had hired like three or four people out of this one fast food joint, and they were just good workers on it, sort of
Yeah.
focused
Oh
and
yeah,
yeah,
we
they just
had
very very quickly, figured out what they needed to do for machining, and it's
yeah, we
been
had a guy from McDonald's here. We got a guy from In-N-Out here.
nice.
Margarito, he used to be a sous chef. So it's
That's
yeah, it's very
awesome.
true. Yeah.
So we just have a few questions that have kind of come in. Michael asks, did you say you can create custom dashboards in ProShop? So you guys may have mentioned maybe custom
Oh,
queries or yeah,
queries. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I apologize. Yeah, misspoke there.
Um, I mean, they are dashboards of sorts. Although I will mention we are definitely working on the ability to create custom visualizations and build them into
Yes.
ProShop. So, but
Sweet.
with the new kind of home screen for everyone that's more widget based, yeah, you can build very specific links out to other pages or some of the pre-built dashboards or custom queries that have just what you need for a certain work center to know
Hmm.
what's next or whatever. And I do love, that person that's helping at the end of the day to move things along both physically and digitally. That that digital movement makes it show up on the queued work of the next workstation, and they can then see exactly what they have ahead of them. They start working ahead, and
Hmm.
again, making sure you're trying to eliminate any of those bottlenecks.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then, yeah, I think we addressed some of the other ones. And we are right about at time. So thank you guys so much for being willing to spend your time to send us those pictures and plan this out and do this with us.
Of course,
Um,
yeah.
People want to reach out, here's how to reach you.
Hmm.
Um, and Yeah, thanks everyone else that joined today. Hope this was valuable. I know there's a lot of great takeaways from Tim and Nick. So yeah, thank you guys so much for all this time. It's been awesome.
Yeah, thank you,
And
Paul.
Yeah, thanks, Paul.
my
Appreciate it.
pleasure. Yeah, yeah. Well, that's a wrap for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us again, and come on back next month, and we'll have another hopefully valuable packed webinar.
All
And I
right.
appreciate you all today. Have a great one.
All right. See you.
All
Yeah.
right, take care.